Drink the blood of your enemies and send your calls to voicemail. These episodes of From keep getting crazier. If you're new to these types of videos, this is an in-depth guide on all the show's biggest questions where we try to look at all the clues and see what's really going on. I don't want to waste any of your time, so make sure to like and subscribe because here we go. The episode begins with that call from Thomas, Jim and Tabitha's son, who died as an infant after falling off the side of a table. It's ironic he uses the telephone as it was a telephone call that distracted his parents, resulting in him rolling off the table. Now, is this actually Thomas? Most likely not. Rather, this is the evil that has a hold over the town, finding another way to torment its citizens. Remember, this entity posing as Boyd's wife said that it feeds off the suffering of the people. And what better way to make Jim suffer than having his dead son call? Tabitha's been up all night analyzing Miranda's paintings, yet frustratingly hasn't made any breakthroughs. That is until she hears Miranda's bottle tree in the backyard. It was a bottle tree that Victor took Tabitha to that led her to the lighthouse, so it can be implied that it was Miranda who put these bottles here. The bottle tree in Henry's backyard is but a replica of an art installation Miranda made for a neighboring town, so Tabitha and Henry decide to make their way over. It was also at the bottle tree where Miranda took that acid that started the voices in her head. I wonder what would happen if someone, perhaps Tabitha, took drugs in proximity to this tree. Would she then get the same visions as Miranda? There's another connection to drugs with the song that plays when Henry starts up his car. It's Joni Mitchell's Blue, about fellow singer James Taylor's addiction, and features the line, acid, booze, and ass, needles, guns, and grass. This just happens to be Jim and Tabitha's song. There are even more similarities between Tabitha and Miranda, from seeing the Ankui children and Miranda's bracelet found in the glove compartment. This ties into the cycles theory, that the town has these cycles that repeat over and over. Tabitha is the current cycle's version of Miranda. It's also possible that Jade is this cycle's Christopher, a man who is said to have been nice but then became obsessed with the symbol and went mad. When Tabitha uncovers the same bracelet she made for Jim in Henry's glove compartment, she freaks out, stating that she isn't in the real world, but this is just a continuation of the town as a means to torment her. She wants to leave, but I totally get Henry's point here. This woman came out of the blue, told him that his son was still alive, and now she's just going to disappear? Well, he drives off and the two get into a crash. Now here is where things get real spicy. The episode ends with the ambulance coming across a downed tree, which we all know means they are back in From Town. Now this has tons of implications. First, it likely means we'll get a reunion between Victor and his father. Other than Henry and Tabitha, we'll also have 3 new characters, 2 paramedics and a police officer. Not to mention that this ambulance probably has some much needed medical supplies, and the officer will likely have a gun. Who knows if any of these new characters will become regulars or if they'll get killed off ASAP. I gotta believe that Henry survives, otherwise what was the point of having Tabitha come to the real world if she's just going to get sucked back in again? I imagine we'll see a Victor-Henry reunion sometime soon. Last episode, Victor grabbed his drawings and he said, quote, "I can't stay here anymore." He's got a drawing of trees, and we know in the past he's kept a record of them and even stated that they move. In Victor's next scene, he'll arrive at Sarah's house with this dirt-covered suitcase, which we can guess is the thing he dug out of the ground. Whatever is in here, he did not want anyone else to see. He asked Sarah for a bedspread and that he plans to, quote, "build a fort and tell a story." This all seems to have been sparked by the death of Tian Chen. Maybe something similar happened when he was a child and he needs to warn everyone. Maybe there are more drawings in this suitcase. We also know Victor has received instructions by the boy in white in the past, so it's really anyone's guess what kind of story he plans to tell. I should also mention that on Twitter, someone mentioned this Hawaii decal in Henry's office is the same one found on the suitcase in the cave from season 2. Coincidence? It's a big episode for Fatima and Tilly, where we start with Colony House frying up that cow that was viciously slaughtered by the monsters in episode 1. I mean, you can't just let that go to waste. Fatima is offered some, but instead prefers the glorious rotten crops piled outside as compost. And of course, she just so happens to be watched by a woman who I think is hiding something, and that is Tilly. Like Fatima, Tilly had weird cravings during her first pregnancy and would lick the inside of eggshells from the garbage. But with all this weird weird stuff going on, all Fatima really wants to know is if her baby will be okay, and lucky for her, Tilly has the perfect idea. When she busts out the tarot cards, Fatima is angered that Tilly would goof around about something so important, but Tilly says these cards are the real deal. In fact, the cards predicted her cancer and her arrival to this town. It's almost as if Tilly wanted to come to this town. The first time we see her, she's dancing in the rain when she arrives. What Fatima wants to know is if the baby is going to be okay. However, as Tilly reveals the cards, a crow crashes into the house and dies. We never get to see what the card says. Crows are what appeared in the sky when the Matthews family first arrived in town. Symbolically, they represent death and have been known as messengers between worlds. Elgin also has a black bird on his shirt, but not exactly sure that's a crow. Elgin is also seen getting some rest. He's been hesitant to sleep after all his nightmares about the drowned woman. And don't think I didn't notice how Tilly remarked that it was good he was getting some rest. A small group arrives to gather the crops from the village Jim and Kenny discovered last episode. The group surmises these totems may have been used to ward off the monsters. I wonder if they can be used like stronger versions of the talisman to create an outside perimeter the monsters cannot penetrate. We also don't know what creature or thing was outside Jim and Kenny's cabin when they first stayed the night. After getting pissed off by Dale, Jade wanders off into the woods and stumbles upon a one-eyed pioneer. I don't actually know if he's a pioneer, but that's just what I'm going to call him for now. This isn't the first time Jade has seen someone with one eye. In season 1, he was chased by a one-eyed Civil War soldier. We've also seen another character pinned to a tree, which was done by the monsters, so we can assume this is what happened to him. Also looks as though it's a railroad spike that was put into his head. Does that mean there's a railroad nearby? Jade will see this man later on drinking from a skull filled with blood, and he offers it to him, but no one else seems to see. Is this perhaps someone trying to turn Jade to the dark side, similar to what happened to Christopher? We should also talk about these red stones. From what I can see, there are at least 3 of them. The colors are similar to those of the crimson found on the cave drawings, and they're shaped like those found in the field from season 1. Christy also gets caught in this bear trap. It's so old that it's rusted, which may suggest it was here long before Victor. Jade also took a piece from one of these scary totems to release her, so I wonder if that will have any consequence. Boyd wants to capture a monster. Not only that, but catch one alive with the intent of interrogating it. We really don't know much about these things, so why the hell not? They have captured a dead monster before, and all we really learned is that Christy believed from the autopsy that they were likely once human. We'll later see Boyd constructing some sort of trap for this creature, and the ghost of Father Cautry telling him this plan is stupid. Is that because Father Cautry doesn't want Boyd learning more about these things, or is he genuinely concerned for his safety? Later in the episode, Boyd asks if he can switch sleeping spots with Randy so he can have a better look at these monsters at night. I should also mention that Randy sees these cicadas come after him. It appears to be all in his mind since Boyd did not see them, but this is rather concerning considering he was supposed to be rid of them after the destruction of the music box. Bacta, who we haven't really seen much of this season, also reminds us that it was her grandmother who sang the creepy nursery rhyme from last season. We still don't know the connection to that yet, but the fact she brought it up leads me to believe Miranda, Julie, and Randy aren't done with whatever took over them. In my past videos, I've theorized that they could be subconsciously sabotaging the town, or they might be sleeper cells for the evil entity ready to be activated at any time. And 2 things I noticed but I wasn't quite sure where to put them was the talisman symbol on Ellis's jeans and just how emo Ethan's become. He's basically given up on his mom, which really pisses Jim off. Now it's time for trailer sleuthing, where we look at some of the clips from this season's trailer to see where the show might be headed. In this clip, Victor tells Sarah that he has to remember what's missing here since so many things have changed. You can see it looks like he got those bed sheets he asked for. Victor usually remembers things with his drawings, which is why I think that's likely what's in this suitcase. However, it could be any number of other things that could help him remember. There also seems to be some sort of attack on Colony House where Nikki gets injured. Here's Randy swatting away on the pavement. Seeing as how he hallucinated cicadas, this is likely another one of those attacks. This may be right before this shot here of the ambulance coming into town. It's possible Randy is luring these guys into Boyd's trap, and suddenly Tabitha's Fatima's ambulance appears, ruining the plan. Here's Detective Acosta from the ambulance with a monster behind her. Looks like one of the paramedics is dead in the background, and it looks like she has her gun. We'll see Boyd confronted by one of these monsters who has the key to the ambulance. We don't know where the occupants are and if they were able to escape. So that does it for this week's episode. I want to hear your theories and what you thought about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.